Hey, what's going on, everybody? We ain't gonna waste no time. We ain't doing no music, no individual stuff. We just gonna come in here together. What's going on, T?
What's going on? What's going on?
Um,
Had a day off today, but you still always end up finding something to do. But I'm doing good. How you doing?
man, I had a day off today too, and I found a whole lot to do. I guess we had the same problem today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
If
was
y'all
like,
notice, I'm in a new, not a new area, but TJ got the basement on lock. He got Lounge 4092 on lock today, looking at the games and stuff with some company. So I'm stuck up here in the bedroom.
well, I'm in lounge timeout in my little timeout quarter. I call it studio now, and I got the game on too. So I get me. I'm vibing with everybody there.
Uh-huh.
But I
Yep,
don't
yep,
even like
yep.
neither one of them teams, so I don't care who win. And man, it's just been a crazy day though. I just feel like I've been sitting here all day just doing admin and I was thinking, we're talking about the kids versus then, and now I wish I was a kid today because I'm like, man, I'm doing too much.
Well, you know what? No, it's not about doing too much. The difference is no different than, like our parents. It's all about how you grew up and what was available. I actually think, and you not that far ahead of me, so I don't know why you feel like you doing too much because you know what it's like to not have the technology and then working in the technology is just a matter of how much patience do you have in order to learn new things. And so after a while, I know you'd be like, look, I'm not trying to use all that brain power. I'm trying to coast out and just get into heaven in my last days. I understand, but gonna have to keep up because if you
But
don't
T,
keep
I'm
up,
using more brain power with all this technology than I was when I had a big wheel and all you had to do was pull up that brake and spin around. I wasn't using no brain power. Now I gotta today. I did one post. I gotta send it to Instagram. I gotta put it on Point Blank Travel and Point Blank this, and then I gotta go to TikTok. Then I gotta go to Facebook. I can't do what I did over here. Hell, I'm wore out. I'm like, man, I'm here.
well,
I'm breathing all hard. I'm like, boy, it's been a
well,
long day.
I put it to you this way: just like it was back then versus now, anything that was invented or anything it came from, there got to be a better way to do this. There have to be uh, uh, um, a less labor intensive way to get this done, and so you have to keep the same mentality though. You still got to think about, okay, if I have to post to all these platforms, is there an app or a program where when I do post it, it will go to each of those places? You know what I'm saying? Where all you got to do is create it one good time and hit it, and it's going to send it to wherever it go. It's out there. You just have to find it. You just got to, it got to hurt enough for you to figure that out. So
Well,
that's usually what I spend time doing.
maybe I find one of today's kids to help me out because I'm sure they got it
Hey,
on lock. You know,
you can do that too.
I ain't gonna
You
mess
can
with
do
none of
that.
yesterday's kids because they gonna be like me. They ain't gonna know what to
That's
do.
not true. That's not true.
Oh, hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Live and Direct. I'm sorry, me and Tanya didn't even know we was live. We were just now we knew we was live. But hey, welcome in everybody, man. Tonight we're gonna be talking about the kids then and now. And if you got any feedback, if you remember something from back in the day, man, put it in the comments. We might get to it between now and Friday, but we gonna get to them. You know what I'm saying? Just put them in the comments. If I happen to skip your comment, I'm one of yesteryear's kids. I'm not one of today's kids. Y'all charge it to my heart. Put it back in there again. Don't say, hey, I missed your comment, because I probably missed that one too. Just put a new comment in there and put an emoji. That'll help your boy out. Put a crayon, coloring book. I don't care what you put in there. Just put something in there. So let me see who we got in the house before. Now I see we got House of X in here. I'm just gonna call it out. I ain't gonna pull them up just yet, and then I'll get to the question. We got DT Cruz in the house. We got one of my first guests on the channel, Walk With Me, Tiffany. We got the Wrestling God TV. Thank you for being here. We also got the Nichols 13 in the house. Lisa J. Stocks, what's going on? How you doing? We got somebody named Invent Yours of Spirits. I don't know who that is. But we got
Whatever.
no, that's hey, speaking of Invent Yours of Spirits, if y'all want to get some in-between comedy, from live and direct that ain't really scheduled, just go to Event Yours Experience. Because when I go there, I get attacked by this woman named Tanya for some reason. But no, we had a good time last week. I would highly recommend y'all go look at some of Tanya's replays on Event Yours because I just went in there to watch, man. And next thing I know, I just had
this be getting you in trouble right here. This right here. It's okay.
Is that
It's
what they
okay,
mean when
'cause
they do
now,
this?
'cause
Is that what that means? You talking too much? 'Cause
no,
I've been
no,
seeing it.
no. This means
Oh,
you talking too much.
oh,
This
okay.
means, yes, get it. Good thing. Like you agree with everything.
Hey,
Something
tell you, I
looks
just
good,
looked over
something
here.
sounds good.
Hey, it says 36 people over here. Oh Lord, I might get stage shock or stage fright. What they call it, stage shock? Or what they call
Look,
it?
see, look. Now I can scroll, but I can't put them up on the screen. I can help you out with the comments.
Yeah, help me. Hey, Fats and Tree. We got JX33, JX3. Hey, y'all charging them hard. We got Tasharia. What's going on, man? Hey, all y'all. Yo, it's your boy Leo. Hey, it's too many of y'all. Griffins. Hey, everybody. I'm just gonna do it like that. Hey, everybody. Because we gotta talk about these childrens. And if you know what I'm talking about with childrens, you know I'm one of yesterday's kids. Because that's like old school term for children. We're gonna talk about these children today. And the ones of yesterday, and how maybe you think it's different if you're yesterday's child, and if you over 18 and you're today's young adult. How was it different? Could you go outside? Did you come home when the street lights came on? Or are nowadays they're already in the house. They ain't got to worry about the street lights because they're in the house all day long. They don't even go outside no more. I mean, I just want to know what y'all think. That's what me and Tanya want. Well, that's what Rob want to know. Tanya might want to know something else. But what y'all think?
Well,
T, what you think, man? What's going on with your kids? What's
to
the difference?
me, I don't know. Me and hubby, we debate a little bit about how tight to hold on to the kids today and when to sort of let them fly, right? And I grew up in the era, Generation Xer here. I grew up in the era where the only way you learned was you just had to do it. Now I do feel that nowadays I just felt like, well, maybe I wouldn't end up with a lot of bumps and bruises had I at least had a little bit of supervision, like let me do what I'm gonna do, but let me know, hey, you may want to stay away from that, or hey, whatever. But back then it was just like, hey, I'm going to work. I see you when I get back. Don't open the door for nobody. And don't you go outside, or if you do, you better be home by the light when the light come on. I just think that nowadays there's so much information, so much access to everything. And when I say access, when you have access to information, when you have the ability to reach somebody from where you are to thousands of miles away in just a matter of a second, then there are some dangers to that, right? Some things are good and some things are dangerous. And unfortunately, because some of the newer generations, they were brought up with technology, that was primarily their outlet. That's how they met people. That's how they developed their esteem. That's how they developed friends outside of school, of course, and family. We grew up, you went out there. The only way you found your friends was you went out there and found your friends. You knew when they was BSing because you there face to face. Nowadays on the computer, you don't know, the child don't know who they're talking to. They could be talking to a 60-year-old perverted man, versus a 14-year-old girl is what they say, because everything is typing. But me and Timmy do disagree a little bit on how much to hold tight and how much to, let go. He wants to hold tight because he just feels like his days is dwindling because he's up in that. He's 60 now. Well, he'll be 60 in a couple of weeks. And so I think he just feels like his life is going the way he's always wanted to go. And he just feels like every time that happens, he just feel like he's going to die tomorrow. So he's just living every day like it's his last day. So that's why he always say, live your best life. I feel like let the child do They need to learn some things, and you just give them guidance and give them a little bit of supervision. That's just how I feel about things. But yes, things are more dangerous now, meaning you just need to be more aware. But I think that the children nowadays, because they're so well informed, they are, aware. And they are probably more aware of things than we are aware of things. Now whether they're mature enough or strong enough to, face the situation head on if something came is a different story. But in terms of knowledge, I think that we need to give them a little more credit.
Yeah, and one thing I want to piggyback on is what you said, like, the kids, like Timmy holding on tight. And looking at today's world of technology, which we started the show saying it was supposed to ease, brain power and make intensive labor a lot easier. And it's done that. Let's agree that it's done that, but it's also brought, and those were the good apples, but it also brought a lot of the bad apples into the basket, the predators. If before all this technology, I mean, there were predators, but they may have been limited to a city, a town, a county, a state. Now they have worldwide, not nationwide, but worldwide access. So, or when the kids used to go outside and play hide and seek and ring around the roses and some of them games that I don't want to name on the channel, hide and go, what the rest of it is. But when they could go and play that, and there was somebody in that neighborhood was watching those kids. Somebody had their eyes on those children that were out there playing. Now it takes a split second. That same child that used to play hide and seek may be in the back of a van with no windows, getting ready to be part of a trafficking thing. So right. Holding on tight, I mean, I think it's a lot of people doing that. And then I think it's a lot of people that's still living back in the day and they're not holding on tight. And that's why a lot of this laxity.
Well, I put it to you this way. Let's use that as an example. That example you gave. Okay. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, you say, it was a village watching your kid. Like mm-hmm. a child didn't have to be your child for other folks that were around to be watching and seeing. And if something didn't look right, they were like, hey, get over here or don't go over there, whatever. The number of people who are perverts or people committing crimes and stuff, that has always taken place. None of this stuff is brand new. Mm-hmm. What is going on is that you have less people outside watching, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's inside, everyone's busy, everyone's preoccupied. So those same people of danger that are out there, they just have less people watching now. That's it. Me and TJ, when I say TJ, I'm talking about my TJ, Timmy, mm-hmm. my husband, TJ. I call him TJ. I just don't want y'all to get mixed up with TJ Destinations. I'm not talking about that TJ. Mm-hmm. Me and TJ disagree. He feels because he hears it more that it must be happening more. And I said, no, it's just that we have access to more information quickly than before. Before, if it didn't happen in your hometown, or if it wasn't so big where it happened on the news, you didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. Now you can know about somebody who got raped 10 states away. Mm-hmm. That has nothing to do with you, only because you scrolling and you looking at news, and your algorithm is going to give you whatever it is that you seem to entertain anyway. So if you entertain all of this negativity that you're looking at and reading, is going to keep feeding it to you. I'm gonna give you some more news about, somebody got raped, somebody got robbed, somebody got mugged, somebody got shot, somebody got killed, somebody got, all of that stuff. I feel like those dangers have always been out there. Mm-hmm. The only difference is people are just too preoccupied to be more aware about what's going on around them. People look at their phones while they're walking. Heck, they'll run into a pole if because the doggone obviously what's on their phone is too interesting, they'll run into a pole. So no one's paying attention.
You know what? I was standing in my complex earlier, and I was doing a promo for this live stream. And I felt something around me, and it was this dude in the truck. He didn't blow. You couldn't hear the truck. I'm standing in the middle. He couldn't go around me. And I was so engulfed in what I was doing that I didn't realize I had made it to the other side of the drive-through. So even with that, I mean, that's going to lead me to, is it us that are also falling into some of these traps and also assisting the kids in some of their decisions?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in the day, you used to hear, do as I say, not as I do.
I hate that.
But hold up, let me finish. Now, hell, the parents want to be just as cool as the kids. Some kind of way it reversed. I don't know when it happened, but it was a warp. You hate what?
Well, no, I hate to hear when parents used to say, do as I say, not as I do. Because I don't care what you say, kids are going to always emulate what they see.
Mm-hmm.
Always. It's either going to be one or two things. Either they're going to emulate it because they feel that's what's supposed to be done, or it's going to bother them so much where they just totally go the opposite way and say, that's not what I want to do. It's one or the other. You know, you can talk and say all you want, but that child is going to look and see, what are you doing? If you tell me not to smoke and I turn around and you a doggone chimney, then how you telling me not to smoke? So what's the ordeal here? You know, now you can tell me not to smoke if you're a person who doesn't smoke anymore, and you're equivalent, and you're also giving that story to a child to let them know why they shouldn't smoke, and giving them examples of what happened to you because you smoked and you no longer smoke, and this is how it is made you better not to do it. That's one way, but you don't just say, do as I say, not as I do.
But let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something from experience. My mama smoked, and she had a Virginia Slim Menthol 120 cigarette about a block long, with ashes hanging out the end. And she said, boy, don't smoke. And remember when they had them candy cigarettes that you can buy for about a dime and puff and then smoke come out?
Ain't none but powder.
But she had a friend. My mom always had a friend nearby. It might not have been right there with her. But mama, you smoking, first of all, you ain't gonna be brave enough to even say that. And then that friend she had, it depended on what size my daddy's waist was at the time. It was called his belt. That was the end of the conversation. I didn't need no explanation. You ain't had to break no encyclopedias out. You, my mother, done told me don't smoke. I don't care if I do got a candy cigarette. I know you're gonna whoop my ass if I do different than what you tell me. I don't need no other explanation.
Okay, so because there's some other pieces to what we discussing today, but
yeah, they are.
Let me ask about that, because I'm curious to know how people feel in the chat, and you don't already ask the chat to answer your last question. I hope you making
do you remember what it was? You remember what the question was?
Look at you. See.
Can somebody tell me what question I asked a while ago? I really forgot, man. You got me over here hyped up, getting whooped and stuff.
Look, so, as a parent, those of you who are parents in the chat, would you rather be feared or respected?
I'd rather be respected.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one do you think is going to get the most response?
Probably fear, but I'd rather be respected.
Okay, well, we'll see how folks feel in the chat.
Yeah, let's get this one while we remember the question. I'm gonna go down and start at the bottom. Kids don't know about the. Well, yeah, there go one talking about the kids don't know about the belt. See, ain't nobody answered the question. So, respect or fear, ladies and gentlemen, which one would you rather have? Would you rather be feared or respected? I choose respected. Because sooner or later, if a person's scared of you, maybe they'll get to the point one day they're not scared of you.
Okay, yes, but I think that everybody there are things that we don't do in life, and people say is morals, right?
Mhm.
Morals are things that make you cringe regardless, right? Like no one has to tell you. That's what morals are. You just have a natural instinct. There's a part in your brain, a piece in your brain. I don't remember the name of the part of your brain, but it has different sizes in different people. That's why you have people like when you look at serial killers and they're able to do some of these heinous things and it doesn't mentally bother them. There's a part in their brain that is much bigger.
But it's
Most
supposed
of
to be little.
it, I mean, it all depends on what's going on in your mind. But
Technology ain't found no way to shrink that.
no,
I mean,
they can remove it, I'm sure, but there's a part of your brain that has a bigger tolerance, like even people in the military who've seen a lot of killing, right? Depending on how much your mind can retain and it not impact you, it's gonna vary. That's why you see some people that they can actually look at certain movies, at certain things, and they don't need to cover their eyes. Like if you want to see somebody get their body sliced up and chopped up in a grater and you don't at least flinch, I'm just saying it just means you got a higher tolerance for it.
That's when I go get some popcorn.
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to be the one to do it.
I'm leaving. I'm closing my eyes and ears, everything. I don't like that. I don't watch horror films.
There are people who like to torture people in this world. There are people who like to just who just have a certain thing about themselves where they just like to see hurt amongst others. And that's just the way it is. But you have to have some form of a fear. Okay, fear means it's something, there's a repercussion, there's a consequence that is keeping you from doing that act. That's basically all fear is. You're scared of the outcome. You're scared of what could happen, right? Respect comes with maturity. You don't start respecting anybody until you start understanding and having that relationship, even as a child. Depending on how much you're in that child's life, it could most of the time it could be fear from the beginning. That child doesn't know what respect is. They don't understand respect until they're able to understand what you're saying and how to apply it to what they do or don't do on a daily basis. Before that is all fear. I don't want my mama mad at me. I don't want daddy mad at me. It makes me feel this way.
I didn't want my mama whooping me. I didn't want my dad whooping me.
Whatever the outcome was, that's basically what it was. But how many
That's what I'm about to tell you before I have another AARP moment over here.
Yes.
Get this question too. So Yolo said both. She'd rather be feared and respected. So did Jegs. He said both. Deidre said fear. Leo said respect. Cam family said combination but stronger unrespected. Seems like it's about 50-50. Fear might get a negative response, less trust. Deidre says that Josh says fear. She says respect. Fast and Tree said respected. Nicole said both. I like the both, so I didn't even think of that. Just Asking said respected. Etta said, she talking about the Media Now Awards. The Griffins, now they got 3 children, y'all. They say respected, but in today's parenting, it takes a combination to get the point across sometimes. And that's why I said I didn't think of both, because that's a good point. The people that said both, I'd have to side with that, because I was going to ask, do we think that fear sometimes lead to respect?
Okay, well, you're asking the question. My answer to that is no. Those are 2 totally different things. Fear is consequence. Respect is I know better, so I do better. That's all that is to me. Meaning a person respects what you say and they trust it, so they follow it because it makes sense to them. Okay. It's no different than you can't discipline your kids in the same way. No. Each of your kids are going to have a different personality. You're going to have that one child that no matter what you say, they got to challenge it. They got to find out for themselves. That's going to be the one with the most bumps and bruises. But guess what? In a positive note, that's also going to be the child that's probably, and they'll probably take more risks in life, but they'll probably also be a lot more successful depending on how they used that inquisitive mentality that they have, right? Sometimes you have to know how to nurture certain things. It may be negative in some way, like you may say, "Didn't I tell you not to stick that fork in the outlet?" But you just may get a child that be like, "But I gotta do it. I know you told me not to, but what if I don't get electrocuted? I might be that 1% that don't get electrocuted, or this might not even conduct the electricity. The electricity might not even be that strong. It might just fizzle my finger a little bit." You know, it's always going to be that those people in the world that say, "But you're saying you're saying there's a percentage that it might not happen." Same thing, sex without protection. You don't know how many times I've heard people say, "Yeah, I'm pregnant now." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So were you trying to get pregnant?" And they're like, "No." I said, "Were you on birth control? Were you using protection?" "No." I said, "So you were trying for a baby then?" "Well, not really. I've done it so many times and I've never got pregnant all this time. So I don't understand why it happened today." Risks, chances, whatever, so that's basically all it is. And then you have the other child that's sort of like in the middle. That's like, I'm gonna evaluate and assess this risk first. Is the outcome of this risk is gonna hurt? Am I gonna get in some major trouble, or is it some trouble or outcome that I can like get over it and move on, right? And then you have the other child that's like, whatever you say, mom and dad, no problem. We'll take your word literally. They won't argue about it. It just means that child trusts you at that point. So you can't address kids the exact same. I don't care what it is. You can't manage people, whether it's at home or at work, the same way. You can't all your relationship with your friends are different because there's all different personalities, and people who you live with in your house, whether they're your sister, brother, uncle, cousin, auntie, grandma, granddaddy, children, doesn't matter. Everybody is going to require a different level of you to, whether it's to communicate or deal with certain things, because some of them you're going to have to cuss out. Some of them you just going to have to be assertive. And some of them you just going to have to say, "Hey, let's sit down and talk for a minute." That's basically just how it is.
I want to pull this comment I just had from DT Cruz. There's some I'll start. Now, and I had a question I wanted to ask too. My mouth got me into so many whoopings, always questioning my parents. And going back to raising children differently, I agree with that. But I wonder, and I'm just thinking about the Black household, being raised as a young Black male. My brother and I, we were 3 years apart, totally different, but we were a package deal with my mother's friends, with my father's friends, not so much as our friends, but we got disciplined the same together. If he got in trouble, I got in trouble because he got in trouble. And
ooh, I will whoop my sibling tail. Be like, "Boy, you wait till you gonna get another whooping when we get back in the house."
Yeah, I tried it too. Then it ended up into another whooping. So I was just getting whooping after whooping because he wouldn't, but there was no difference in the discipline. Now that I think about it, and I've never thought about it until you just said that, and the crazy part is I knew that and I believed that, but I've never thought I actually experienced what you're talking about, where it was no shift in, okay, now I guarantee you, had there been a son and a daughter, there would have been a difference. But since there were two males, 3 years apart, I don't care how you slice and dice it. Really, at no point were we alike. I mean, I'm 3. He's just not learning how to walk, even that little, So it just made me wonder is because I really wonder, where did the change happen? Where did the change from? We've done shows about the big mamas. We don't have to revisit that. We've done shows, all types of shows. But where did it where did the change come from when a little bit more parenting was taking place? Because we'll talk about kids and the parents just give them a device, a phone, or a game, but I don't think it's always the parent. The kid's gonna see it anyway. They're at school learning on these devices.
Right. Well, one, to answer your question, but also looking at Daryl's comment on there, questioning the temperament of our parents were different. But this is one thing you also got to realize, how much did they know? And like I said, we can say black, white, Hispanic, whatever. When I say it, I'm speaking from a culture perspective, not your skin color, culture perspective. Okay. In the black culture, there was not a lot of parenting education. There was not a lot of your parents learned whatever was in their environment. And I'm not saying all, because not everybody grew up the same or in the same exact environment. I don't care what generation it was. Okay. Everybody, there's all different socioeconomic statuses. People have different access to things, different connections, different resources. I'm speaking of those that had the least, which was the majority of the black culture, okay, in the United States. Can't speak for the other countries because it may be different. But they're learning from whatever their environment was. So if they grew up in slavery, right? Who was teaching you? Who was teaching them? All they saw was, we need to survive, right? You need to listen. Don't question me, because you just have to trust the fact that I'm telling you what you need to do. Okay. And the kids got treated as such. So if the kids saw that, oh, well, whooping this person kept them in line, well, then that's just the outcome of what obviously I'm supposed to do. Right. Not realizing that, okay, there is a mental aspect to this. You might not have to whoop everybody. Right. They may have sold whoopings in the slavery days, but some of the owners, some of the masters, that's all they knew, because it was more about dominance and a little less about, did you understand? They could care less if you understood. It was, I need you to understand I'm in charge by whatever means necessary. Okay. So generation, it keeps going. That's what people are seeing until you see different. When you start getting access to more information, when we start learning more than what our parents knew and seeing something different than what our parents showed us, that's when you start seeing switches in the generations. Because when you know better, you do better, right? And to me, I just feel that every generation should do better. I think that there should be a balance of, the good and the balance of the bad, meaning I'm your parent. I don't want to see you fall, but there's some instances where you're going to have to bump your head a little bit, because obviously that's the only way you understand. You understand what I mean? So that's where I think the shift is. And that's why now parents don't mind being questioned. I think the issue comes into how the kid questions you and when, right? So when you start seeing that, it should be, you know what? I think me and you need to talk about when it's time for you to question me. Don't question me at this particular moment. But if it's something that you don't understand, there's a way for you to articulate that to me. And then basically there's a time and a place for it. Okay. And that's something you also have to teach kids, because there's going to be times where when I say do this, if I don't give you an explanation, that means I just need you to do it. And trust me, I will explain to you later, because you might be in a life or death situation. If I tell you get down, why? Now you get shot in your head because now you in crossfire or something, because I saw something that you didn't see. There's a time and a place to ask why and to get more information, because asking why, to me, I encourage that with any child, because the more they understand, they'll make better decisions on their own when you're not around. If you just tell them don't do that and you don't tell them why, now they're gonna get with their friends and their friends' parents, and they're gonna poison them and tell them what the reason why they feel. And so now your child is developing whatever information that's been shared with them from them. So
Yeah, I wonder too. Like, I think part of the shift, did it come from technology? And what I mean by that, I know when I was growing up, it wasn't just the mother; it was the father as they were transitioning into probably their 50s, mid 50s. They were taking more of the style of dress may started changing, the way they did things. The grandkids came along and they moved into a different role. With technology now, and what I mean, not just men, not just women, both, it seemed like everyone's not trying to accept that transition into older age. And I'm 56, so I'm right up there with them. I'm not separating myself from anyone. Now everybody seems like they're going backwards. Like, technology, I don't care if it's a facelift, a butt lift, or whatever kind of thing. People are now are trying to stay younger. They don't want to accept even the names. Nobody, man, it was either Big Mama, Grandma, Mama, whatever people called each other back then. Now it's a whole different term. G Mama. It's got to be hip. It's got to be cool. It's got to be young sounding. I just wonder. I'm not saying it did. I really don't know where it changed. I listened to what you just said, and maybe I'll never know. But looking at some of these comments, and like corporate punishment at school was real prevalent in the South when I was growing up. I agree. It was detention when I left the South. I couldn't imagine a teacher hitting my child in today's world. And that goes back to what I said. I want to see what Tanya got to say about that, because
I mean, it depends what you call corporal punishment, because I mean, I can't say that. Okay, I did grow up in my younger years of school where the teachers were allowed to take a ruler and hit you on the inside of your hand or whatever.
Yeah, somebody just said.
Right. They weren't whooping you, tying you down, and giving you a whole blown out whooping. Now, I don't know. I mean, words were, some of those religious schools back then, that corporal punishment was a total different thing. I don't know. I never went to one of those schools, but just from what I have heard or whatever, like, them nuns whooped you a lot more than just the regular teachers. But I can say that back then, those teachers had a lot more respect from those kids. But also back then, the teachers were also much older, so they were also much wiser than the children. Nowadays, you got a younger generation, and some of them they're probably still growing up mentally, and you want them to oversee some other children who are probably 8 years, 5 years younger than them. That's their peer group, so the kids may look at them and go, I don't need to listen to what you're saying. You my sister's age. You see what I mean? So I don't know, but I think that there's a little loss in the respect from children, because I just think that I just think that the way people are using, allowing a child to speak their mind and, have some sort of a free will and a little more freedom and a little less strict. I just think some people just went way on the other end. Like they just said, you know what, everything that my parents did to me, I'm just going to do totally opposite of everything. Not realizing that, take the good out of that. And then whatever's bad, then you leave that alone. But you don't just totally just disregard, because you can't say, oh, my parents was just, everything they did was just bad. That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, I'm looking at these comments and I'm saying that, like, because you asked corporal punishment. And I grew up in the South, and I experienced both. Now, there was a process. The ruler and the yardstick. They had a yardstick.
Yeah, it was the 3 foot stick. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
a yardstick, and that was in the classroom.
Yes, it was.
If you graduated to that paddle, you was in the office. You wasn't in the class. And
Yeah.
I agree with whoever said it was a 2x4. I don't know if it was a 2x4. I never got a chance to measure it.
No, she said it was made from a 2x4.
I thought it was a 2x4. Damn, what state was that? Let me make sure I don't never go there. But um, one thing, my mother was a executive secretary my whole young childhood. She was at the school in the school system. But parents back then, now I just heard two different things, read two different things in these comments. Parents back then were notified that kids were about to get paddled.
Mm-hmm.
Now it wasn't a beat down, it wasn't an all out just kick their butt in the office. It was a paddling, and it was a witness. And I not once heard my mother say it was a parent that said, "Don't do it, please don't do it." They did ask the question, "What did my child do?" And when they heard what their child had done, let the paddling proceed. And then you will get a second whooping when you got home. I mean, that's just how it
Yeah.
worked when I went to school. But unfortunately, I didn't get two whoopings because my mom was going to whoop me right there in front of everybody in the office. I only got one, but I still got, it was equal to two because my feelings were also devastated and I was
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed. But now, ain't no sense in calling a parent because the first thing gonna probably come out of the mouth, you don't hit my child because it goes back to what I said. I think telling you a few bad apples that were in there annihilating these children and
Mm-hmm.
doing who knows what to them behind closed doors, messed it up for the people that were properly disciplining maybe a child. But now you got people over here grabbing them by the collar and hitting them 58 times. You can't do that. I mean, I just always think it's always, I ain't gonna say one or two, it's more than one or two. We'll say a couple thousand. I don't know the number, but I think that's where that went out the window because you got people over here just taking advantage of, like you said earlier, that power, that dominance, that
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I'm not gonna say masculinity. I'm in charge, I'm in control. And you're dealing with a child. Come on,
And
man.
and there are people who have that. Their whole thing is they want power. They want to dominate,
Mhm.
and it starts from when they're younger. That's just who they are. And you're going to get teachers, you're going to get parents like that, you're going to get bosses at work like that, you're going to get cops like that, you're going to get doctors like that. I mean, you're going to get people that want to say, hey, I have the power, and they will abuse their authority. Yes,
Mhm.
they will. There are people in the world just like that.
Fanny said that paddle was awful. And I want to read Cruising Capers because I do want to add to this. When we moved to South Carolina, I was in middle school and the assistant principal had paddles they used. My mother said that was not happening. Now, I will say where I grew up, the male wasn't hitting a female. They were
Mm.
going home. I mean, that I agree with that. I mean, I'm not a chauvinist or anything, but they didn't call a female in there to paddle them. Not that I remember. I think they just got the parents got called and they got disciplined. The parent may come up there and do whatever. I didn't have any sisters, so I don't know the whole story behind that. But that would have probably caused a riot in my hometown. I mean, I don't know, but uh, and we do like we said we had some. Oh, who was it? Fanny Steele, Cruise Cape. I think we came up in the last era of the paddles. Can remember being in pre-K early '90s, and our principal used one, but shortly after that, never saw discipline like that again. Yeah, I graduated in '87. I don't even know what year I was around with the paddle. I think the paddle followed me through probably about to '87. I don't know, man. But I know it was some big dudes in my class, so they wasn't really trying to paddle them. And end up spoiling the child, then don't know which way to go. Yeah, then the child raised the parents. That's now. What do you think, Tony? Do you think the children? Do you think they're raising the parents now?
Okay, so yeah, so let's talk about some of the differences of before and today.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to know in terms of raising the parents. So my assumption, and Nichols, please let me know if I got if I got it right, do a thumbs up. If I got it wrong, just elaborate. Um, we're not talking about elderly parents and all that stuff, right? That's my assumption. I'm not thinking that because that's just life. It happens. Doesn't mean you have to raise them. Some people put their parents in nursing homes or whatever. So my assumption is we're talking about you thinking that your parents know better and they making decisions and asinine actions that's like creating consequences that really could be avoidable. That's my assumption when Nichols says raising parents. Let me know if I'm right about that. Nichols, put a thumbs up if that's what you're talking about. Because let me tell you, Lord, you know, all my life when I was growing up, and let me put it to you this way. I think that I'm gonna get back to that answer, but I need to say this because it adds content to my answer, what I'm gonna say about that. What I have found was the era of the Generation Xers, since we were the first introduced to the technology stuff. And we grew up with the old way, remembering how it was before we got access to the World Wide Web, right? Mm-hmm. Before we got access to all this other information, all this other education, all this other knowledge that we would never have known about unless, our parents told us, or we were around people or resources that shared that information. And most of us didn't go no further than the state that we were in. So that would have been a limited number of people without the technology, right? My thing is, because the Generation X generation is the first ones to get this additional information, we were probably the first to identify that our parents might have been wrong about some things, or they were not accurate about some things, or they use certain sayings just to control you or to get a result because that was the only way they knew, even though it was not true. Like they would say things to cause fear in you to keep you from doing whatever it was that they didn't want you to do. Mm-hmm. They would also do things and we wouldn't know that it wasn't right because that's just what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. But as you get all this information and you begin to realize that, you ain't had no damn sense. You start to, as the Generation Xers get older and the more information you get, it's like when you see certain things, some of our, with some of us, our parents do, and you like, how old are you? And you made that decision. Like, where was your brain? Where was your logic? And I'm not talking about parents with dementia and Alzheimer's. I'm talking about ones where their mind is just right. And you realize that they are disrespectful, some of them. Some of them are very, what do you call it? When, I can't think of the word.
Describe it. I probably know it.
Condescending. They're very they really don't have a lot of logical sense. A lot of time it goes more in line with what's best for them, which is why they're making that decision for you, not necessarily what is just the best decision. And sometimes I just go, do I have more sense? Does that make sense?
Now let me put some on your mind before I get to these comments real quick. I just want to let it marinate. We hear, we've heard, we've lived it. It takes a village. We've heard it. Some of us lived it. Some of us didn't. Now, we obviously, the people that was running the village ain't running it no more. But we hear all these people that want to help and let's change. And we need to be a better society. We need to be a better culture. We're doing it for the culture and all this bullshit. Then when it comes to acting on it, why don't some of these people that may have already proven that they can grow or be part of a village, maybe move to a different village and assist with that village instead of saying, oh, that ain't my child, I raised my child. But then they're the same people that are turn around and say, we need to be a better this, we need to do better, we need to. That's
well,
what
let me. Well, I can tell you this.
Tell me this, Tanya. Tell me.
I can tell you this.
From Alabama to Arkansas. Tell me.
There's a. Say it again.
I said from Brooklyn, Arkansas. Tell me.
No. See, that's okay. That's okay.
I said from Brooklyn. I had
Daryl. I saw your comment, Daryl. You are exactly right. Oh, I won't forget. I will never forget. And just because I didn't act on it, all you doing
don't
is
forget what you was about to say.
adding. You are
Don't
adding.
forget what you was about to say.
When the payback happens,
don't forget
when
what
the
you was
payback,
about to
you ain't gonna know. You're not gonna know. Look, I'm gonna be like how they say the Lord gonna come like a thief in the night. You ain't gonna know the place, know the time. That's all I got to say. So I feel that I am a bit selfish, right? And some Gen Xers are, because we are usually very responsible. We're going to take care of what we're supposed to take care of, right? What I don't like is when other folks are clearly making decisions and they have the knowledge and those decisions are not working for them. It's not my goddamn job to get you straight. Right. You need to do like I did and get yourself straight.
Right.
Okay. Now, my expectation is that it may not be me, but maybe my child in her generation will begin to help others, because they've had the opportunity to where they don't have to be selfish. They grew up with probably everything that they needed. They grew up with what they most likely wanted, and they have the option to actually they actually have options. I didn't grow up with options. It was, this is all you could do. Do it. You want to eat, this is what you need to do. There was no, oh, I need to find myself, I don't know which curriculum do I want in school or whatever. Me going to school, it was like, I need to make this money. What is it that I can do well to go out and work and make this money and go into a profession and make this money? What is it that it comes natural to me so it won't feel like as much work? Okay. But our kids have options. So they're the ones that's more likely going to do like what you said. Let's go to the other village with the less fortunate and help them out. That's fine. I'm trying to live my best life. I'm gonna take care of mine, and I'm gonna help you out as long as you're not taking away from me continuously doing what I need to do.
And I agree with that. I agree with that. You got, and I ain't talking about helping the people that just don't want to help themselves, but I'm thinking more these younger people. Like, and I want to. So, hey, make me remember this. Help me remember this. Make me whatever. But hell, I forgot what I was going to say. No, really. No, I mean, there are 2 8-year-olds yelling at the parents about what they want. And the parents would do anything to get that for their child. That's what she meant when she said the children are now the parents. We're going back to
okay. When you use the word raising, I'm thinking you was trying to say like we're invoking knowledge that we think that they should already. Okay, so I read your question wrong. No, that's just the parents are just pushovers.
Well, see, now I got to play devil's advocate. Are the parents pushovers, or in some cases, did those parents maybe grow up like some of us that didn't have as much?
Yeah,
and they want their kids to have.
Yeah, and so the kids are acting spoiled and throwing.
I mean, it's got to be a cutoff point
because the parent enabled that. They instilled that in that child. That child probably hasn't, those 2 8-year-olds probably never heard the word no, or wait, or not now, or what are you going to do to come up with half of the money? I'm just saying that right there is evident of the parent. Okay. When you see these kids, unless the child has a clear mental issue, a chemical imbalance, or something like that, and you see these kids acting like that, trust me, just monitor the parent. Just monitor the parent. I guarantee you, the parent is enabling it. And guess what? And in some cases, you might have a strong-minded child, and you just got a bitch ass parent. Like, it's a parent that's just naturally a pushover, and the kids just got more Like, hey, all right, well, I can get over because mom ain't got to say nothing. Dad ain't going to say nothing. No, this sometimes that happens too. Kids have personalities. And if kids from as a baby, kids know what is going to get the response that I need. That is what I'm going to do. And all you got to do is show them. You can ask my daughter. Just, I'll be doing a live that includes my daughter soon. I haven't talked to her about it yet.
Oh, wow.
But also probably my sister and my niece and stuff to talk about their views about us as parents and vice versa and like that. Because you be surprised at your child would be the best person to tell you about your parenting. You might think you are the best parent in the world, and that child will come up. And I'm talking about a serious conversation, right? We're not talking about when the dynamics is just crazy. Okay, I'm not talking about that. But the average household, you get a parent to be like, "Oh, I am the shiznit when it comes to this," and then that child will come out and say something, and you be like, "Ooh, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that." And it might not even be nothing that you even think was bad or it impacted them. But then they'll come up and say something and you'll be like, ooh, I need to, okay. You can, and guess what? All you can do is apologize. Or you can say, okay, how can I not allow that to happen again or whatever? And then sometimes it might be things you can't change. It might be something you could have said to a child at one moment and it stuck with them and it is what it is. So,
I mean, people always say technology. I think it's technology. It's also expansion. I mean, and some of it is technology, some of it's not. Like when we were children, and you said we're not that far apart, you had limited options of things that you could
right.
get as a child anyway, for as far as toys or stuff to play with. Now, with the expansion and technology, there's so many different things that kids have all these options. I remember, and I'm a little different, but I remember you could get $1, and we know that times have changed. We all got that. You can go to the store with $1. You can get a 25-cent bag of Cheetos, a couple of Chico sticks, a pack of Annihilators, and some penny candy. Come back home and you would go get killed by your parents. But I mean, you had a whole Halloween thing full of candy. Now, I saw a candy bar the other day. I was at a gas station in Texas. The candy bar was like $3.79. It was a king size, but I remember when that was $1.25.
Mm-hmm.
So the expectations through an expansion of items and things that are available to these kids. I mean, now you got little kids talking about, I don't want a regular sandwich, I want an organic sandwich. Man, if you don't organic your little butt away from me, you go get this regular sandwich. You know what I mean?
Well, but if that's the way their household does, then that's what it
Well, their
is.
parents better pack a lunch because we ain't buying no nothing.
And guess what? And guess what? And that is true. But then you'll also get those parents who feel that you need to provide those options. Just saying.
What?
I'm saying there are parents, if they raise their child like that, they have expectations that everywhere their child goes, they need to provide those options as well.
Well, I'm glad I ain't on the number one on the babysitter list because I'm glad I ain't really an
Right.
option for nobody. So
I mean, it's true. Okay, and I know this is one little thing off this subject, but about expectations. It doesn't matter where you are in socioeconomic status. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's the rich people who, expect all this stuff when they go places." I had a homeless person tell me that they don't eat meat. They were talking about they were hungry.
oh Lord.
And they said that they were hungry. And I had bought lunch, but I ended up not eating that lunch that I purchased. They had like something at the job. So I was taking it home to eat it for dinner. But
I hope I'm still talking. See, they done got Tanya because she over there messing with the homeless people.
saw it on, in the car and whatever. So I'm talking about a whole meal. And give it to him, and he saw that big piece of salmon at the top and everything, and he said he don't eat that. Okay, well, guess what? Give me my delicious bourbon glazed salmon over some nice mashed potatoes and some asparagus. I'll take it home and eat it. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, can't help you. Thank you. Well,
Well,
can you give me one and no?
maybe he had an episode where he tried to eat something like that and it messed him up because he's not accustomed since he's homeless and he only get, other stuff like burgers and fries or something, and not salmon and mashed potatoes and asparagus and croutons and oregano and all of that stuff.
Let me say this.
I'll mess with you.
If I'm homeless and I need to eat, and someone gives me something that is pretty much where if I'm around other homeless people, they will probably want it or whatever, we can exchange. If someone else got something and I guarantee you one of the other homeless folk probably would have saw that and was like, what? You turned that down? You could have gave that to me and I'll give you this doggone salad this lady gave me. You can take the salad and give me the doggone meal. He could have done that.
Yeah, it was a way to do it. And to be honest, at the end of the day, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. He didn't care about what kind of food you had to do. Probably wanted some money for drugs. I'm just gonna
I'm pretty sure. But I try not to,
Well, I mean, like you did what you did. You took the food, maybe gave it to someone else that appreciated it. So
no, I took my guy. Once he said he looked at it, he said, I don't eat meat. I was like, fish either? No. I said, okay, well, sorry, I can't help you. And I rolled on and I gladly warmed up my food in my oven when I got home and ate that daggone delicious dinner when I got home. Sure did.
I don't blame you. I'm gonna jump in these real quick. Instead of saying no, we can't afford that at this time, or just saying no, it's some children that are not used to hearing no. So true. Big Murphy's in the house. I'm gonna skip some of those. I did have a couple more here. Whiskey Reaper said that freedom of speech is huge in the USA. Thank you, Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks.
Hey, Reaper.
Glad to have you in the house, Reaper. Miss Nichols, I have a relative that's in college. They're not used to hearing no. They act out so bad because their parents say it's no. Be ready to fight the parent because they're so used to their parents making it. In my opinion,
making it happen, basically. I'm pretty sure she probably missed the word happen at the end.
Yeah, she did. It's right there.
I said, it's kids are accustomed to what they're accustomed to. I don't care what nobody say. Let me tell you something. I think that all kids, no matter how neat or dirty the parent is, all kids go through a phase of having a junky room, right? But let me tell you something. There's a big difference between my room is junky sometimes and my room is nasty. Okay. Chances are, if you get a child that keeps a nasty room, chances are parents nasty too. That's all I got to say. Okay. So when you look at a child, look at the parent. What is the parent enabling? I'm not saying that the parent is exactly like the child. What I'm saying is whatever behavior the child got going on, if the parent is not correcting it, is gonna prolong itself. My daughter, she'll tell you, which is what I was trying to say last time, and I forgot it just that quick. When she was little, she'll do something. I popped that hand or whatever. I made it to where she didn't want to do it again. And it only took one time. I ain't never had that problem. Like whatever each problem, and that maybe it was only and she was a very good child. I just want y'all to know that. A very good child, and she's still a very good and respectful child too. Now she's a respectful adult now. She, maybe 3 things she tried. Like she tried me 3 times in her young life between the age of 6 between the age of 4 and the age of 10. She tried me 3 times. And I never let it go past that one time. She never repeated any one of them things ever again. Now her daddy, different story. Because her daddy is one of them parents. You know, oh, okay, or whatever. Still to this day, if
Well,
she
see,
asks, it don't matter. He gonna do now. She don't, she's not spoiled. She's not gonna, but she knows who to call when she wants something. When I've already said no, but but what she'll do is she won't come to me. She just go directly to him, and I'm
mm,
like, whatever. I said, because at the end of the day, um, when it's time to say no, I'm just saying it's gonna be no from me.
it's a lot of comments in here, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to pull up a couple of them that we have starred here. Uh, and I may go backwards, I may jump around. My children would always hold conversations with us about stuff in general that would be deep sometimes. And that's how my mother was. And to be honest, as a child, especially, it was conversations that really my father should have been having with me, not my mother. So it was extremely rough for me. It was embarrassing. It was like, why am I even talking to my mom? I mean, I'm thinking this. I couldn't say this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, we had deep conversations, but some of the roles should have been reversed. And Fuller Life Now said, "Hey, everyone just came in 5 minutes ago. YOLO, you're funny. You are definitely right. I wish your mother would. We old school parents over here. We'll knock you into next
Yeah.
week." And I've heard that several times. And Mr. and Mrs. Nichols said these kids can be 2 to 8 and older. They see it in the stores. Little 2-year-olds yelling at the parents. It starts young, in my opinion. And going back to, you use your scenario. I remember my youngest daughter, I spanked her once in her life, one time. And I ain't never had to do it again, but it was reversed. She fell in the clothes. We were in Marshalls. I'll never forget. Fell in the clothes, leg.
It's always a public issue with the daughters and the daddies for some reason.
Had a leg hanging out. One woman, oh my God, what did you do to her? I was like, all I did was tapped her on the butt, man. And she's screaming and hollering. I'm like, I never touched again. I said, you ain't never got to worry about me. Because all I could see was going to jail over some mess. And what she was doing was taking the shop cart, running into mannequins falling all over the store. And she was about 4 or 5. And so.
Okay, but guess what? Guess what that was? Who does she normally go shop? Did you always take her out shopping?
Her mom did.
There you go. She know how to act with her mama though, right? I want to know, how old was she?
About
you
5.
said 4?
About
5. Why wasn't she in the cart?
Who?
Your 5-year-old.
Why was? Oh no, she was pushing. She wanted to push it. I let her push.
No, that's the problem.
I knew you was gonna turn this around on me. I knew
it. The thing is, if you can't drive this buggy without crashing into things, you're going in the cart. See, this is the mentality. You're gonna get in the cart like the baby girls are, like the baby girls do. You want to be treated like a big girl, act like it.
Well, that's what I tried. That's what I got the shopping
cart. And then what she do? She get the yelling, screaming, crying.
That's when I tapped on the butt. That's when I tapped on the butt. She fell in the clothes. Half the clothes came down. The leg was hanging out.
You heard her feelings. Because you heard her feelings. You'd be surprised how kids
I heard some
are hurt at the fact that you got mad at them. It's a little less about the tap. It's a little more about, I made my daddy mad. I made my mama mad. And that is enough for a child to just wallow in kids like, she would have got another one when she got home for just embarrassing me like that.
Not for me, she wasn't. I was scared straight. I ain't never whooped her again in her life, ever. She scared me so bad I won't even whoop her kids. I'm out the whooping game. But I saw something else in here. If y'all have any more comments now, it was one thing I wanted to cover real quick, Tanya, and I probably don't need to be because of these comments. But one of the things that they're saying, and I just really want to know how to do this, because it says encourage outdoor adventures and limit screen time.
What you say? It said what?
It says encourage outdoor adventures and limit screen time. Can
Oh
we
yeah,
teach?
you mean get them out, get them out. The whole purpose of limiting screen time is just you and a device that where you create your own selected world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the real world is not that. The real world is not customized to to for you to only come in contact with who you want to, when you want to, where you want to. Life is not like that. And so the only way for you to understand how to interact with people, how to communicate with people, how to deal with awkward situations, how to deal with conflict, okay? You have to be involved in those situations. You don't learn by reading about it. You
Mm-hmm.
can read about it, but now you got to practice it. It develops a muscle that it over time you begin to just is just natural. Those bullies, in elementary school and grade school, let me tell you something. School was exactly like the world. You
Mm-hmm.
had people who liked you, people who didn't, people who were out to get you, people who wanted to see you fail, people who wanted to see you succeed, people that you got along with, people that you didn't. You had the strange people, you had the dumb people, you had the smart people, you had the rich people, you had the broke people, you had the folks in between. School really developed your social skills. But they started to segregate inside schools. Like they would start to take the gifted, and I'm talking about not the gifted short bus kids. I'm talking about the gifted smart kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would segregate them in a certain area where all their classes were.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter was amongst that, and I'm like, this is my first time hearing about that, because when I went to parent teacher conference, this was down here in Georgia, and I grew up New York. You had recess, everything. Every child understood what anxiety was. Everybody at least had a fight. Everybody at least something in your life during grade school happened. Okay. And you had to learn to deal with it, get over it, but be resilient. My daughter, went, and they're like, oh yes, all the classes are upstairs. And I'm going, so all your classes is just on this hallway? And the teacher's like, yes. I'm like, well, what about, lunchtime, integrating with the rest of the kids? Like everything is just in this hallway? Oh, well, they integrate with everybody else during lunchtime. Okay, well, what about other times? Like they don't have math class with the other students? They don't have electives with other students? Like, no. All of the gifted, all of the smart kids went with just this hallway. It's like they kept them separate from, I guess, the normal students is what they would
Mm-hmm.
call it, because they said that they might be disruptive, and it may stop these kids from actually learning what they need to learn and doing their projects. I was like, I ain't never heard of that. But that's how the school system was here. And I was just floored. They didn't have recess. There was no outside. I'm like, what do you mean? Now, one of these kids is as wide as a couch. Because I mean, every PE, you had to take PE. Everybody, oh, I used to hate those strength tests. You had to
Mm-hmm.
hold on to the bars and hold it for a certain amount of time. And you had to, you had to pass PE. You had to have some sort of physical, only way you can get out of PE is either you was in dance, you was in cheerleading, you was in some other active, some other active class that was equivalent to physical activity. And you had recess. The only time you didn't have recess was in high school. Elementary and middle school, there was recess. There was recess. So, there's a lot of
And see,
differences.
I so disagree with that segregate because in the workforce, in the normal workforce, you're going to be around all types of people. I mean, I don't care what your position is. You may not deal with them every day, but you're going to encounter them, and I mean, when I joined the military, I got a chance to see how the different walks of life. I left Arkansas, went to California, and that was a shell shock in itself. Then I go to the military, and then I'm like, man, this is just totally different than what I'm used to. And it took a lot of adjusting. And if I could go back, one thing I would change from where I am now as say 7th grade, I wish I would have been a nerd from then on, because wanting to be cool, I missed out on a lot of what I need today and what I needed 10 years ago to prepare for retirement, to be knowledgeable on finances, to want to learn this, to want to learn that.
So when you say a nerd, you're not saying be a nerd. You're talking about
just not be cool. I shouldn't have been as cool, because I was very intelligent. I was a National Honor Society Student Council president, but I wanted to fit in.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be part of the in crowd. So I wish I would have, when I say nerd, stayed part of the not in crowd and been in the in crowd now.
Why you couldn't have done both?
Nah, it didn't work like that. Tell you, not in Arkansas, we wasn't that skilled.
I had two groups of friends. I had friends that I cut class with, and I had my friends who we all kept each other accountable for making sure we did our schoolwork and we did those tests.
But see, then that's another thing. I wonder how many kids, I didn't really have to study. I could look at some stuff, memorize it, and go and blow a test out the water, unless I wasn't interested, like chemistry. I didn't care about that. I didn't care about no geometry. I wasn't going to be a carpenter. So I had issues with those classes. But social studies and all the rest of the stuff, Espanol and all that, I look at it an hour before the test and knock it out. But that became such a crutch that it could have destroyed me. And it did. It made me lazier and lazier and lazier over the years, until I got back to being mature enough to want to learn again and not be so cool or fit in or whatever. So,
right. Yes, touch your toes, Game Master. Man, you sit there and they put that steel box at the foot of your feet with the little thing at the top, because when you, however flexible you was, your tip of your fingers had to push the little scale so they know how far you was able to stretch. I was like, I hated PE.
Somebody said earlier about excuse me, back in the day, how they actually, I'd have to find it again, right here. What do you think about that? I'm your parent, not your friend. Although we can talk, joke, and tease, don't forget who you're dealing with.
That's right. I agree with that.
I totally agree with that. And somehow there's a disconnect, because it's like the kid can't cut the switch off and say, okay, I know I'm joking with you, I'm having fun. And when I was growing up, I didn't joke with my mama too much. She wasn't a joking type. I mean, she just wasn't. So if I had that opportunity, I'm going to joke and laugh, but I still knew who not to mess with.
Right.
At the end of the day, so.
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, my daughter, we joke and stuff like that, but she knows now. I put it to you this way. Sometimes it's reverse, because I've always been open and honest with her, because I didn't want her to be a child growing up thinking her parents were perfect, because a lot of times that's what also impacts kids, is because if you grow up and your child thinks that you never do anything wrong, that you grew up like the perfect kid, you didn't do anything bad, you didn't break any rules, you didn't lie, you didn't curse, you didn't do whatever, that way when they come across that, now they don't want to talk to you about it, because they're going to think you don't understand because you never been through it. So they go talk to someone else. So I would always overshare. I've always had I just overshare with my daughter, and my daughter used to be like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Why you tell me that? And I'm like, I'm just letting you know, your mama, because we got on the subject about, she never really brought up the subject of sex or anything. She just doesn't like she don't like, she just don't talk about it.
Mhm.
And so I would always be the one to share and be open about certain things. And I told her how old I was when I started. I told her about the mistakes that I've made. I told her about the issues that occurred. And she used to be like, you are telling me too much. It's too much, it's too much, it's too much. She was like maybe 11, 12 or something like that. But I wanted her to know that your mama's not perfect. So don't think that you have to be perfect. But the reason I'm telling you this is because when I'm telling you about risks and things of that nature, you know you're hearing it from someone who understands, who's been through it. That's just like, I don't need someone telling me about, okay, I'll use an example. Don't tell me about how to get good credit if you ain't never had bad credit and got yourself out of bad credit to get back to good credit.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me but what you read about if you've never had to go through it? You understand what I mean? So exactly. I just think that people, not saying that a person can't do that. I'm not saying that the information is incorrect. What I'm saying is people are more apt to resonate with people who actually been through what they trying to talk to you about in terms of how to get out of something.
Yes, it's hard to be relatable. That's why
exactly.
on Points Blank Travel, I often talk about going from a 547 credit score to an 800. It not only it's relatable, just like now, even on Investing with Rod. That's why I'm rocking the ball caps and the t-shirts, because why am I going to go up here with a suit on and a shirt and tie talking about investing $5? The two don't go together. That's not relatable. Right. That's not relatable. I mean, I mean, I don't know what I paid for this hat and this shirt, but I tell you what, it wasn't no more than $100. So a person can relate to that. But I'm over here with Gucci this and Louis that and Rolex this. They may well just switch to another channel. This dude here, he ain't real, you know. Right. So it's about that relatability. Now, going back, there's one thing here. How long we've been on here? I just want to make sure we're not going too far. It seems like we've been on longer, hour and 22
minutes. We've been on an hour and a half. We got just a couple of more minutes.
Couple more minutes. One of the biggest things I think that differs was two things that differs from kids then and kids now. But I'm going to morph into adulthood. I'm going to spring forward into adulthood. Face-to-face interaction and the intelligence. I mean, you have children now. I don't care how much they go to school, they can't even write in cursive. But is it the child's fault? A lot of those teachers can't write in cursive either, because they're getting younger and younger.
Right.
So is it the child that the parent? The kids are spending 8 hours a day with the teachers, coming home for 3 or 4 hours a day. They're getting ready for bed. They're spending more time in school than they are at home. I say all that to say, face to face, you could take a cell phone and destroy face-to-face communication and intelligence with one little device. I can't even understand today's language. I got to look up SMH and BRBs and all this other stuff. There's a whole other language they didn't create it.
They didn't create that. You remember shorthand?
I ain't never took no shorthand.
No, you didn't. But you said your mama was an executive secretary.
My daddy wasn't gonna let my mama teach his sons no shorthand. We
no. I'm saying your mom, I'm sure, used shorthand in her profession, because back then the secretaries, you typed, you had to take shorthand, because when the boss needed you to write or type up something, you had to write it down, and you didn't have time to write the whole word out. Otherwise, you wasn't going to get everything. So there was little shorthand, also known as what the kids are using today. Acronyms, a bunch of acronyms. Is your mom alive?
No, but we use acronyms in the Navy. The Navy is built on acronyms, but it wasn't no AF.
Well, you know what it means.
Yeah, because I had to go Google it a couple of times.
Why you had to go? All you had to do is look at the content it was used in. The context that it was used in.
Well, no, Tanya, you no. The beginning, it might have been one word out of 5 that made sense. BRB, on fleek.
Be right back.
Well, you got a young child in the house. Yeah, I mean a young adult.
I did. She didn't teach me this.
Well, you hipper than me then.
Look, are you sure you just a few years older? You sure you ain't older than Timmy? Because Timmy be 60 on the 17th.
Now I know it now, but I had to study it.
Lord have mercy. But then again, but I put it to you this way. Because you was in the name, now acronyms do mean different things depending on where you're using it. So I get it. So yeah, you did have to look those up.
I mean, we use acronyms for everything, and it wasn't simple stuff. It wasn't like college level stuff either, but everything had an acronym to it.
So okay, so you mentioned cursive. Okay, so what are some? Okay, there's a lot of things that we feel that we learned growing up that we feel like they should have taught the kids that, right? But if you really think about it, outside of writing your signature, which really your signature does not necessarily even need to even look like your name, it just has to be some form of symbols or letters or whatever that you put together to represent that you signed it. Because there's some people whose name is Samuel, and all you see is a S and an AM and a squiggly line.
If you look at my signature, you just gonna see my initials and a couple of squiggly lines in there.
See, that's what I'm saying. So it's not even like you're really writing cursive with your signature. So outside of your signature, what do you need cursive for? Think about that. Do we need cursive? Everything is being typed. And even if you do write it in a certain way, people want to see it in print so people can read it, because the problem is there are people who write cursive that have very bad handwriting. And you mistaking an I for an R, a U for a W, N for a cursive R, like all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot more errors with cursive writing than there is with print or typing. So do they really need cursive? Cursive was supposed to be so they could sign their name and all that type of stuff and write letters. Remember that? We would write letters. We don't write letters no more. So you know what people do? They'll type their letter, but in a cursive font to make it look like it's a cursive letter.
Unbelievably, I'm gonna have to agree with the Griffins and agree with you. You bring up a great point with the typing, because you don't have to know cursive for typing. You don't have to know cursive.
Everything is typing. My problem is some of these kids don't know proper grammar. They don't know how to say a sentence without the word like somewhere in it. And I'm like, I'm gonna just need you to pause. You don't need to say like, and then like, no, I don't know. Stop asking me, No, I don't know. So basically communication seems to be deteriorating because of the typing and because of the texting versus talking to people. There's less people physically speaking to people. So therefore people misinterpret what people say. They mess up relationships because in their mind, they're reading it one way, but maybe it was not intended that way from the person who sent it. And it's because people don't want that awkwardness, meeting someone for the first time or going to meet somebody that you don't know, or just saying hi and introducing yourself, is much easier to do that behind a keyboard. Most people talk a whole bunch of stuff. Right,
Rod? They're extremely bold on the keyboard.
People, be in the chat, talking smack like you, Rod. And it's just
what you mean like you, Rod?
I heard that. Calling me Alabama. Look, but I might save it for whenever I meet you. I don't know. I might never meet you face to face. But if I ever trust you, I'm gonna hold back some of it until I see you face to face and see what you got to say.
Ooh, I'm gonna make I'll see you about 2030. Nah, I'm gonna see you before then. You might be to forgot about it. But nah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Now, the Griffins said they taught them mainly to know their signature. Now, with my signature, you can try. I can give you at least 100 times. You'll never get the R right. You won't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's certain ways that I look for it to be, and will draw it in a second. Will write it, whatever. It's almost like a drawing. And everything else can be squiggled. I don't care how you squiggle the rest, because I'm gonna base everything on that R and probably that T. And it's not gonna be a normal R nor a T. And it's not gonna be a cursive R nor a T or a printed one.
Where a T at?
My last name. It's
What's your last-
Thorndexter. Thorndexter.
What is-
Thorndexter. Can you call me that from now?
Say that again.
Let me spell it in the chat. I want you to call me this from now on. Mr. Thorndexter. I got to hold up. I'm typing, y'all.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that's my last name.
That's your daddy last name?
He said it was, but I think it was a combination of like the past.
Okay. Lord have mercy. Thorndexter.
Oh, I spelled that wrong. I mean, it wasn't UR. You see, you threw me off, man. It's Dexter. Let me spell it again. Make sure you look me up when we get out this. Tell you I can't do you like my damn name ain't no Thorndexter.
Well, what's your name, bro?
I ain't gonna say it, but
And is it Roderick, or is it just Rod?
my mama didn't like me when I was born.
What she call you?
No, it's really
What she
Roderick.
name you? Well, okay,
It's
what's your
Roderick.
name?
It's Roderick. I'm about to tell you. You chill out. RODERIC. No K. That was mistake number one. Every Roderick in the world got a K except me.
Okay.
My middle name should have an O because I'm a dude, but it ends in an A like I'm not a dude. So and it's a common name. I'm not about to give you my whole government name, and I don't need no identity theft. But it should be a O, but it's an A. I'll tell y'all mine. And my last name is named after a little town in Arkansas. I think one of my ancestors was a slave in this little town. No, for real. Why you ask me? Did I tell you? Then you laugh at me. Hey, matter of fact, all right. Anyway, so that's my name. No K. And I got an A instead of an O, and I'm named after a little town in Arkansas because somebody in my family was a slave in this little town. And this is for real.
Okay.
You ain't gotta believe it. I'm telling you the truth.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. All I gotta do is probably look at a couple of me and I what's the names? He probably done said your name.
You ain't lying. See, look at the Griffiths.
Because I know
I should have kept that going, man. I couldn't do you like that no time. Yeah. Now you know we got to call a truce because I could have kept that going because even the Griffiths. I think I'm gonna name my puppy that when I get one, Thorndexter. Come here, man.
Thorndexter.
The nigga said I knew it was. All right, man. But hey, y'all, we done hit an hour and 33 minutes, man. And we get ready. Y'all, I have to end this on a laugh because I actually created Points Blank Experience to ease some of the tensions, not just off my day-to-day movements around YouTube and life, but to give people a place, just like at Event Yours. I've never been over there and not had a good time. Never. We give you a place to kind of unwind. You can go over there and get your drink on. You used to could get your drink on over here, but then I had some things happen. You can come over here and get your drink on. I just can't join you. So we're just trying to have a place where people can come in, unwind, relax, reminisce, give solutions to issues, now learn from one another, and just grow, continue to grow and just have fun. So you got anything to add? Tell you now that you think my name is Thorndexter, I got you again. Then now you can't hold that against me because I told you the truth. I told you the truth.
You said Roderick. You ain't give me nothing else but Roderick.
That was more than I don't even like the name. You didn't get that?
Well, I knew. Look, Rod. I mean, there's only going to be but so many names with the darn word Rod in it.
Well, I only changed it to that because they couldn't say how it was supposed to be said where I grew up. I was Rodney, Robert. I was everything but Roderick. So I just said Rod. How can you? And they still call me Rob with a B.
I still need to find out what the last name is.
I'm gonna tell you what it is as soon as we finish this live.
You know what? Just text it to me because
Oh
I
yeah, the
want to. I
giggling
want to
one.
laugh.
Yeah.
I want to laugh on the live. I need people to see my face, depending
All right,
on
well, I'm gonna
how
text it to
bad
you
it
right
is.
now. I'm gonna
How
text it to
bad
you.
it is.
I'm gonna text it to you, and before we get up, I want you to look this town up in Arkansas and see if I'm telling the truth. Just I don't need you to be over here doing nothing extra now.
All right, I'm not. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm
Hold
just
on,
gonna.
my phone. I got this iPhone 6, so I got to do some. There you go.
All I see is 2 cameras on your phone. You need to upgrade that, Rod.
No, I don't. It take all the pictures I need.
No, you. What you do is you put that as your backup.
Tell you, I don't need no backup. I don't even use it as a front up. I barely use it. I don't. Like this only the third text I just sent today.
Nichols said they can't get their name right either.
What? Who is they? The Nichols?
Nichols. I don't know whether it's hubby or the wife. You just say Nichols. I think this is the wife because I think there go Desmond above it. Desmond.
Yeah, I messed
Desmond
Miss
logged
Nichols'
in
name
too.
up yesterday because I got some bad intel. All right, I just texted to you, Tanya. And then look that. Matter of fact, I'll do it because you ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna send you a screenshot of that time. No, you gotta do it. That's really it, though. Really, I wouldn't kid you. I wouldn't kid you.
That's not bad.
But now look up the town.
You know what? And Anwar did say your whole name.
He said it wrong though. I thanked him yesterday for saying it wrong.
Well, how did he say it?
He put some extra letters in there. Go back and watch the thing. He put some extra. Look at what I just sent you.
Okay, I looked at it.
See, look at that. Look at that. The Griffiths just looked up the town. They got a population of 1,581 people.
Okay.
I'm telling you. Just call me D.
I'm trying. He said just call him D. Okay, is it Desmond? Is it Desmond or Desmond?
Man, ain't nobody that technical. Well, I forgot you.
It matters. It matters. Just like you wanted that O at the end of your middle name versus the A.
No, I didn't want it there. That's what the English language says. I didn't want it there. Everybody thought I was a little girl. They thought
it starts with an O.
It took me 3 years to get therapy because of my name, man.
So, okay. So in summary, we've identified that the environment around us now has impacted the way our children can grow, basically from playing age all the way up into adulthood, just because of the nature of the village not being the village anymore. We've identified that they now have a lot more access to information and knowledge, but with the acknowledgement that they are not mature enough in the mind to process and utilize that information. That's where the problem comes in. Okay. That I see. The upbringing of the parents of this generation was very different than what these kids probably would want to have. They want to have the parent that's just sweet and nice and kind all the time, which that's just not real life. And as a Gen Xer, because that's not life, then that's not what you're going to get all the time. You're going to need to know how to navigate these streets out here, and navigate life. And you have to learn to be resilient, which I think is the biggest issue that the new generation is lacking, and it's resilience. And resilience is very important, because without resilience, you're going to get a higher suicide rate. Without resilience, you're going to get people who are just going to give up. You got depression. There's a lot more mental issues that come about when they don't have resilience. And resilience in a nutshell is just learn how to roll with the punches and then get back up and dust yourself off and do it again. And know it's okay. It's okay to fall. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to not get everything that you need, that you want. It's okay for something that didn't work right. You know what that means? That means, what did you learn from it? apply whatever you learn from it and try it again. And eventually everything will work out. And I also believe that nowadays the parents like us, because we know better and because we also have more information, that we at least owe it to our children to really have a discussion about maybe the way that we do things and, communicate in a way to where it's like, no one's saying change your parenting, but just identify things that you probably know. Like, you know what, I think I can probably communicate with my child a little better. Or I think that I can, maybe spend more time with my child, or make time or whatever the case is. Just do better. Like you want them to do better. We need to do better. So, but in terms of growing up, I'm sorry. I think that my generation was the last generation that just had fun growing up. And these kids right now are just always in serious situations. They're always mentally tormented because they care so much about this world. My daughter's a straight tree hugger. She doesn't want to use AI at all and will get mad and pissed if you talk about it, because you know how much water it takes to cool to be able to use AI. You're just messing up the earth. And I'm like, girl, this thing make me do stuff faster. What are you talking about? Like that's just where I am. And you would think that her generation, but she's Gen Z, she's not Alpha. So the Alpha generation, which is after her, those are gonna be your robot kids. Those are gonna be the kids that are like, give me all technology, whatever, and they're gonna be down for it. That's that generation and after. But I think my daughter's generation is gonna be the ones. You remember that movie Demolition Man? Where you had all the people who liked the technology and the way of life they lived up, and then everybody else was underground. My daughter gonna live underground with them folks. She gonna live down there. I guarantee you, she'll live down there because she not gonna want to do whatever the technology says should be done.
Wow.
She didn't get that from me, because I'll use a tool in a minute. So
Well, I'll say this just real quick, piggybacking what you said. I think as time has evolved, a lot of what we're witnessing is no different than what Tanya said this at the beginning of this live stream. It's always been like this. It's just a different look now. And if you go back, I remember when I first got in the military, I remember my parents said, y'all kids just different now. And now we're saying the same thing. These kids are just different now. And these kids are going to be saying that when they become full adults, like in their 40s and 50s. And I think that's always going to be the case. With children today, I'm a firm believer, and I know it's an old cliche, you can lead a child to water or a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. I had a great mother. She taught me everything right, but I still, on my own doing, went against the grain as Curious Rod or Curious Roderick, whatever you want to call me. Really, it was dumb Rod, but I had to find out on my own. Sometimes we are pointing fingers at parents, and you may have a great parent. That kid is just gonna have to just go test them, see if they're gonna get in trouble. Is mama gonna really do something? Is mama gonna live up to what she said? I tell you, Tanya will. Now, there's some mamas out there that may not, but Tanya, if she says she gonna bust your head, I believe her. I'm sorry.
with a white meat.
So a lot of times I think we're so busy pointing fingers, but do we really have any? We know the problem, or we know what we're calling the problem, but do we really know how to fix it? I just think it's going to happen regardless. There is no fixing.
As long as there's evolution, you're gonna get what we're going through. Can you highlight a Full of Life Now's comment for me? Is at the end, I think. So I agree with that, but I also want to put out to say it goes back to, remember what I said, when you look at the child, you got to look at the parent, right? Because usually whatever the child is used to, whatever behavior that is or lack thereof, why is it like that? The reason we're go-getters is because we didn't have. We had to go get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a latchkey kid. I'm also playing mama to my siblings, while my mama's gone, so I was living like an adult or having to do things as if I was an adult or figuring stuff out. So because I didn't have, or because I always had to be independent, being a go-getter is just a natural instinct in me because my situation was I didn't have, right? Fast forward to today, there's a lot of things, or I think that I could have been a lot further than where I was, or maybe even better than I am, had I had what my daughter had, basically, right? So you as a parent, a lot of times you try to provide things for your child, and it's not always monetary, but you provide things, whether it's knowledge, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental or whatever. You try to provide things that you were lacking, right? And you try to give them information to where they don't always have to bump their heads if they don't have to, right? Like if you're going to bump your head with some stuff that you don't know about or that we don't know about,
Right.
and we'll work it out together. But the reason they're not go-getters is because they never had a reason to go get anything.
It's all
So
given to them.
they already have. My daughter does not know what it's like. I remember getting letters from school about, oh, we got to do this for a project. And we had to ask Auntie and them, can they help chip in so we can get the supplies for the project?
Mm-hmm.
My daughter grow up, there's a whole list of stuff, and we just, oh, okay. And we just go to the store, get it, and there you go, and you got it. There was no ifs, ands, buts. There was no question. There was no, do we have it to get it? Or hey, we need a parent to come, at such and at 12 o'clock because we need you to volunteer at least 4 times a year to do whatever. Yeah, I'm there. In my day, mom like, I gotta go to work. What you mean? Ain't nobody 12 o'clock. I'm on my shift. I can't come to your school in the middle of the day. Can we do it after work? Can we do it before work early in the morning? So there was a lot of less involvement from our parents than the Gen Z generation. They're not go-getters because what did they have to fight for? They didn't have to fight for anything but that damn phone.
And that's what I was going to say. And I'm not going to ask this question. I just want to give everybody something to think about. Back when I was a kid, and a lot of people in here when we were kids, when we had to learn some research something, we went to the library. There were no games at the library. You didn't play. Now we're handing and being handed a device. Well, the same device I can learn from is the same device I can play games. I can go on social media. So kids, it goes with evolution again. Kids are given things and they have more options. And we're pointing the finger. The kids are different. The kids are bad. The parents bad. It could be the stuff that's around us is really the issue. I mean, and like I said, we may not never know the answer. And Tanya and I both agree. As long as this world is continually changing, we're going to have to ride with the punches and deal with it a better way. We can do better. Mm-hmm. I can do better as a grandparent. I can do better as a father. I know I can. But why am I not? That's what I need to look in the mirror and ask myself. And that's all I really got to say. We just need to maybe look in the mirror and see what can we do. Like Tanya said, when I said I wanted to save all the villages, maybe we need to concentrate on our village. If everybody concentrate on their village, we ain't got to really worry about everybody else's village.
Well, if everybody did their job, then it'd be less to worry about with others, but some people rely on other people to help them, and it's okay to lean on each other when but as long as it's a give and take type thing and not just always give, because,
Yep. And with that being said, y'all, I'm going to just hit one more little button. I want to thank YFC, your favorite couple, Hall of Fame inductees for that $5
super chat. Rod, someone dropped some coins.
I just did that for the children.
Really? Okay.
I didn't even expect it. Hey, y'all, I hit the wrong button. But no, I got a little young person that do that too. So, hey, man, thank y'all for tapping in. Please subscribe to Event Yours. Phenomenal things. Also, TNT Connect, man. I saw a thing. I got to tell you, where did they get that cartoon picture of Timmy? I promise you, it looked just like him, man. I don't know if it's AI, GI. I don't know what it is.
I did it. Chat GPT did it. So
go.
That's his new. What's the name? That's
subscribe.
Yep.
Subscribe to all the channels. Points Blank Experience, Event Yours, TNT Connect. Man, we just having fun. We're just trying to lighten the load. That's all we're doing. Hit the like button on both channels, whichever channel you're on right now. When I say share us out, Tanya is the master of sharing on YouTube, and I greatly appreciate it because a lot of times I can't remember everybody that's going live, and I'll see hers. When you hear me say, just tell somebody about both of our channels. Maybe they're not on YouTube. Maybe they're on Facebook. Just tell them about it. Just say, I know a place where you can have fun. And maybe learn a little something at the same time. If nothing else, reminisce, talk about big mamas and kids and everything else. So you got anything else, T?
No, just want to say thanks everyone for joining us and commenting and just joining us within this discussion. We're just trying to come up. Just know that it's Rod's turn to come up with the topics for February, just so y'all know. So Rod's turn is February, then it's March. So we're gonna
February, we're gonna be talking about love. We're gonna be talking about love in the club.
Love in the club.
I'm kidding, y'all. I don't know what we're gonna be talking about.
I got a whole list of
she won't even give to the
I ain't getting you near nothing. I'm
a chat GPT topic though. Hey, y'all, it's gonna be their fault if I get it wrong. But that's what we're gonna talk about next month. Love in the club. We're gonna have T-Pain gonna be the guest singer.
Lord,
and he's gonna say he's in love with a stripper. No, y'all, we gonna get I don't know what we're gonna talk about, man. Hey, life is rough, man. We gotta laugh. If we can't laugh, sometimes we have to laugh to keep from crying. Y'all remember that. With that being said, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this end button. Tell you about to leave, or you about to clown me about my name?
No, I'm good with your name, but I need you. If you ain't gonna tell me your middle name, then
I'll tell you my middle name. Hold up, y'all. We out of here. Much love. Y'all have a prosperous week, a great day. Go whoever is gonna be in the Super Bowl, and we'll see y'all in February. Stay tuned for my topics. They're gonna be off the chain. I can guarantee you. Much love, y'all.
See ya.